Hi guys, welcome back to another video on the Jag. There was a job I didn't do when I finished the Jag. I was meaning to do it a lot sooner than now, but essentially the car works fine without it. And it's to do with the front bumper. Now, something I didn't ever really talk about is that this front bumper isn't the one that would have come with this car. This car had the R Dynamic pack, and that means that these side pods would have been a little bit bigger, and they've got like a black plastic thing in there. And fair enough, this in the black colour, I don't think it makes much of a difference. If you had a coloured car, those holes look loads better. On this one, I don't think it's much of an upgrade, so I was happy to have this bumper when I found it, and the price was main attraction. But the other issue was that because I believe this is off a 2-litre version, and the difference is that on the 3-litre and the 5-litre you have a supercharger that fits right here, and in order to fit it in the engine bay it's quite high, and that meant for safety reasons they had to fit a pedestrian protection system, which you don't get on the 2-litre versions. So if you look right here, you have these little airbag things, and there's some sensors in the bumper for it, so that if you hit a pedestrian it would pop the bonnet up like that, and then that would mean that their head, which would hit roughly there, would be cushioned from hitting the solid supercharger that was raised up in the engine bay. I believe it's just due to health and safety reasons, and yeah, so the 2-litre didn't need them. So this bumper was off a 2-litre. It had the parking sensors, which we found out in a previous video this car didn't have, strangely enough. So the harness was completely different. So I went to buy the harness, got the harness, it was like 150, 160 quid. I didn't have the sensors. And they're these little sensors here. They are pedestrian protection system sensors. And in the Jaguar dealership they were £130 each, so I need 4 of them, so nigh on £500 there, and then the harness 160 I think it was, so we're nigh on 600, and we're knocking on £700 for the harness and the sensors that were missing. And then there was the other issue that this plug here was snapped off the harness behind the bumper, which I'll show you shortly, and I couldn't get the other side to this connector. And what was the point of spending all the money getting a good harness only to chop the plug off, and then I still didn't have the wiring diagram for it either. So I was kind of stuck, and I just thought, you know what, it just flags up a slight light on the dash when you start it up. Not the end of the world, I'll live with it until I can find, I don't know, a second-hand one that wasn't going to cost me the best part of £700. But this is, over a year later, I still haven't addressed it. So what I've done is I've got some second-hand sensors, about £40 each, and then I've got this harness here, which isn't the right one. And the problem with that is that the wires are going to be slightly different length, because it's from, I believe it's from the 2020 bumper. But price was right, and so someone commented on one of my videos, I believe it was the one with the wheel, and they said my time was worth more than the money I was saving on the wheel. And that's kind of like, people are a little bit out of touch with fixing crash damaged cars, because there's no, when I bought this car there was no finance deal, there's no PCP, you have to buy it outright, and that means you spend all your money buying it and then you spend the rest of the money fixing it. So any way you can save a little bit of money just to get it across the finish line and get the car on the road, you're going to do it. And obviously the front bumper was another area, and now here we are trying to add a little bit of time. We've got to figure out the wiring diagram, we've got to figure out that part, and then there's just this niggling thing in my mind regarding if the wiring's wrong, what's going to happen, because another slight motivation I had not to touch it was that I didn't really want the pedestrian system. I know that's a safety feature, but I'm not planning on hitting any pedestrians, and even if I did, I'm not sure it's going to save them. And then reading online, the only things you can find out about this system for Jags is people from XF world, and they were a little bit older, given, potentially an older system, but there was stories of people just hitting big potholes and then ending up with a massive bill for all the airbags going off. Oh my god. So imagine I get the wiring wrong, airbags go off, very expensive. It still could happen, I hope not. But then also if I hit a bump, so I'll just leave it, but gonna do it. Hasn't cost us 3F, probably the best part of £200, and I'm gonna address that now. Okay, so we'll see what we got. So far what I've done is I've drawn a wiring diagram for this wiring harness. This is the plug, so that would be going that way around, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 8. And then for the sensors, I've got the sensor closest to the plug, so that would be on that side. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the harness, obviously the one that's closest to the one that's furthest, and then I've got what wire should go where. So now we need to figure out the wires on the other side. So I'm just going to take the bumper off. Sounds easy. It's not easy. And then we'll move from there. Ta-da! So there it is. That's not a big job. That is not a big job. I don't know how that took so long. Probably had here. It took a lot longer because of that bolt there. Look here. It's just turning. I think we can get rid and squash that in. Hold it on better. I don't think. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that. The rust was obviously what stopped it. So we just started the car up and measured the voltage across the wires. and what I found was there's a fluctuating voltage between the pairs, which is a good sign, but what it really means is we need an oscilloscope to know what the signal looks like. Without that though, we can kind of assume that they are a pair. So then I also noticed if you get it the wrong way around, it's minus, so that tells me there is a polarity to these. So we have to get it to the right side of the sensor. And then I put it to the ground, and what happens is you get a signal on one, a voltage on one and nothing on the other, apart from this pair here. This pair here is giving me 0 on both, which is making me wonder if there's a damage in the, if there could be damage in the harness somewhere. But otherwise, so long as we get the polarity right around the wrong way and combine them both with the same sensor, I think we should be right here. So yeah, no matter how many times I've measured this, sorry, the neighbours are playing some music, there's no voltage on that pair. And I'm going to look at the photograph I've got of the cable. They're probably two of the easiest ones to figure out, so I'm going to put them on and then just hopefully we don't have the error. We'll do it now anyway. We'll put the connector together, connect it up to the harness. So yeah, having done the measuring, I can see that it's always this one on that side that's the positive. That one's the positive, that's the positive. It's just this one I'm not getting any reading on. But yeah, hopefully it'll be right. So just a quick update, see where we're at. So we've got our wiring diagram and the old plug. Currently just chopping off the wires and then fitting the wires into the weatherproofing part. There's the kit. Watched a quick YouTube video, see how these connectors went together. It's fairly straightforward once you know how. So I'll give you another update once that plug is together, and then we can move on to the plug on the car. So there it is, it's done. We got the plug. I don't know if you can see in there very easily, it's a bit dark, but yeah, all the pins are in and weatherproofed. So just move on to the side on the car, and we can put it all back together. So the moment of truth, here I have, I've wired this new connector onto here. To say I'm nervous is an understatement. I've basically just got to plug it in and turn the car on and hope it works. Hope everything I did there was right. Now I've legitimately extremely surprised myself here. It's fixed it. I mean, can you believe that? I know that. It's a proper plug and everything. I don't know, honestly. I'll put up a picture of what I was sent for the plug on it, and you couldn't tell what colour the wires were. So to actually have got them all right and no airbags went off. Oh, wow. It's like and there we have it, all back together. Could not be happier with that. The bumper alignment needs a bit of adjusting now. I can do that another day, I'm actually knackered. Yeah, it's all back together. So yeah, no more warning lights on the dash, over the moon with that. Because I'll show you, come on. So, so here we are. Hey presto, no warning lights at all. And yeah, that's all for today. Don't know, haven't got any more videos in the pipeline, but you never know what might crop up, so tune in for the next one.